I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. I'd like to welcome Minari Vee. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, I am Minari Vee. You may call me as you like. Mina, Rin, V, etc. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Oh, no, I'll be there early myself.
Exactly.
I appreciate you coming on. How long have you been doing the VTuber thing?
So as I currently stand, it's been since December
Mhm.
of 2024.
Okay.
I did have what those in the industry would call a past life
Hmm.
in a sense.
Yeah.
Um, but I got into VTubing uh around 2021-ish, give or take,
Yeah.
when VTube Studio kind of first came out. And I initially was aiming to do kind of life stories in relation to my journey with depression.
Hmm.
Um, and so I figured, what is the best way to stay anonymous than this thing that was starting to blow up in the art scene? I wasn't much of a stream watcher or a YouTube watcher. So I didn't have the typical experience watching or getting in, indoctrinated into the VTubing scene.
Right.
I knew very little about corpos and even indies, really.
Hmm.
So I saw from the art side this new kind of cool technology piece
Hmm.
and wanted to try my hand at it. Turns out I am not great at Live 2D, so I gave that up pretty quickly.
Well, it's a learning curve really quickly for that sort of thing. I imagine. I'm not good at live video anything, so I try to stay with the audio as much as possible after all these years.
Understandable.
Well, the so you were attracted by the ability to um, kind of get your art out there, or the ability to do art online.
Somewhat. So I have dabbled around in various communities, but my main like mainstay of art was during the big brony blow
Oh yeah,
up
yeah.
of the what was that, mid 2010s ish.
Hmm.
um and so that was kind of it wasn't my first attempt at art, but it's what reintroduced me into specifically digital art,
Hmm.
was getting into that scene. And so from that little sphere, I'm not tech savvy. I am not social media savvy whatsoever.
Yeah,
So I find my one platform and I stick with it. And at that time, it was old school Tumblr.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, once you get comfortable in the spot, you want to stay there.
yeah.
It's it it does make a lot of sense. So are
Yeah.
you self-taught as far as that goes? With this
Uh, Oops,
digital,
sorry.
as far as digital goes?
Yeah, actually,
Mm.
I've I got lucky. A lot of my life, I feel like, is failing sideways or upwards or something, whatever direction the wind takes me.
Yeah.
But I happened upon when I was back in high school a bit ago, I got lucky and was gifted a Wacom, an old Wacom, bamboo Wacom,
Mm.
which is a drawing tablet. And I got into digital art then. Um, but I'm what you call a jack of all trades, where I'm pretty competent at a lot of things, but I'm a master at none. Um,
I know how that
which
feels.
is,
I call myself
yeah,
a a ambidextrous, where I can drop things with both hands. So
yeah.
give me a chance.
So I'm really good. Oops, sorry.
I say give me a chance. I'll mess up anything.
I get that feeling for sure. But I can pick up skills pretty quickly,
Mm.
but my attention or my ability to retain attention to those skills is very dependent on how competent I am.
Mm.
So I felt I wasn't competent at art, so I gave that up for a good, I think, about decade
Wow.
before I tried again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you must have remained. There must have been some pull back to it. Yeah, you didn't abandon it completely because you did come back to it. But once you got into it a little bit again, dipped your feet back in the water, um, was it full go at that point, or did you have to kind of dance around it a little bit before you got into it again?
The art itself, it was pretty much full go. It was at a time in my life that I really needed a distraction.
Hmm.
I was in my mid 20s. I was in a job that was not particularly fulfilling, but it paid the bills.
Right.
My home life was chaotic at best. And when you struggle with mental health troubles,
Mm.
um, sometimes you need, or when a lot of your what seems like foundational stability is either not there or
Moving.
having particular troubles,
Yeah.
uh, you kind of look for outside places. And so for me, it was, oh, well, there's this big craze with the pony community.
Hmm.
A friend of mine who is rather 7 years older than me,
Hmm.
very intelligent guy. He was into it, and I had no idea why a grown man was into colorful ponies that I had been into when I was a child. Um, and so I figured, well, this person that I love and respect so much is into this thing. I'll give it a go and see what it's about.
Yeah.
And it gave me um it gave me a creative outlet that I was able to channel a lot of the negative feelings through and distract myself from what was going on in my home life
Hmm.
in order to just channel it to something creative.
Mm. Yeah. So you
Um,
took that. It took a lot of that negative energy and were able to focus it into something that came out of positive.
Definitely,
Mm.
definitely.
Yeah.
I made lasting friendships. I met my partner of 10 plus years. I guess we're going on 11 years shortly. Um, and so yeah, it everything I feel like happens for a reason,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
Um, Good and bad, what have you. And so I kind of go wherever, in my case, as a jellyfish sea tuber, wherever the ocean takes me, the current takes me. So,
Yeah. And with global warming, who knows where you could go at this point?
right?
Both
Very
poles,
much
outer space could be anything at this point. Um,
exactly.
with the outlet of getting into the VTuber sphere as well, um, do you see that more as a hobby or a therapy or both?
I would say pretty close to both.
Mm.
Um, I I really started it not well, the aim was to be more of a cathartic,
Mm.
here's my telling of my story, the journey I'd gone through, because I have been diagnosed with depression for well over at this point now, two-thirds of my life.
Hmm.
And so at the time when I was trying to get my story out there, I was in a pretty good spot and came to quite a few revelations.
Mm.
And mental health at the time just wasn't being talked about.
Right.
Uh, as openly as I feel like the conversations are starting to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting a
Um,
little better. A
yeah,
little more
in
in
some
depth.
respects.
Yeah. I think it's more accepted. I think
Mhm.
than it would be certainly 10 years ago, and definitely 20 years ago. Um,
Most certainly.
yeah, and there's that to be said for it. But also 10 and 20 years ago, you really didn't have the option of going on as a VTuber and doing this sort of thing. Um,
Mhm.
you were kind of limited to going on chat rooms and typing
Yeah,
in stuff, especially 20 years ago, for crying out loud.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so having this and having an avatar and being able to express yourself through art and everything online, uh, has this become a huge part of your life now that you've got it started?
It definitely did.
Mm,
Um, it mainly, so I guess I have a very convoluted journey to where I am.
mm.
Um,
Everybody's got
and
their own path.
right. But in regards to the VTubing scene, it went from this idea I had where I wanted to document and tell stories about depression and hopefully help those who may be struggling in similar things or just
Mm,
see things from a different perspective. I grew up in a household where mental health was not very talked about,
right.
and that it was me not trying hard enough.
No.
And so, like you said, 10, 20 years ago, it definitely, especially with I have boomer parents,
Mm,
it was definitely something that it's just you don't talk about
right.
at
Right.
all.
Right.
Um, and so I wanted to have an open conversation, but when it turns out I am not good at animating, I was like, well, I guess I'll just move on to something that I am more competent at. So that got put on the back burner for quite a few years.
Mm.
And an artist that I followed on another site that became my hyperfixation at the time, um, created a VTuber model. They drew the art and they rigged it, and I fell in love with the character design. I thought it was awesome. I loved it. I really liked the artist, so I wanted to purchase it and missed out on that opportunity.
Oh,
Um,
ouch.
and so that was in like in December of 2022,
Hmm.
and kind of it was always on my mind, but such was the deal. And come July of 2023, I ended up getting my hands on said model and was so excited for it.
Hmm.
And I had tried streaming once upon a time ago, many years prior, and it was mainly just like wasn't on Twitch. It was back on Picarto,
Well,
where artists would just because I think at the time Twitch you weren't able to stream art; it was games only,
right.
and so it was the place where artists went. And I had other art friends, and we would do kind of collabing streams or dual streaming where you would stream art and they would as well, but you
Ah,
could like watch it as a viewer with both screens, which I
okay.
really like. And it'd be
Yeah, I can
like,
understand that. I understand that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be great if Twitch did that, but you know.
Well, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility in the future they do something like that, but you never know with corporations what they want to do. and, and
I feel like it's probably not. A friend of mine did a workaround. We did a workaround with that, but ultimately it kind of didn't go anywhere.
mm,
On my past life, I figured I have this model. I should probably do something with it.
mm,
So I did the like make the Twitter thing,
mm,
or and that was I think when Twitter turned to X or whatever
yeah.
the proper nomenclature is nowadays. And um, so tried to do that, met some people, tried streaming and looked up like what you're supposed to do because I had no idea. I just had this cool piece of tech that I wanted to do something with.
Yeah.
And so I started streaming when I'm a stay-at-home mom,
Hmm.
and so my kiddo uh, started school.
Right.
So for the half day, the what 3 hours that they were in preschool, I would stream solitaire mainly. I'm not good at gaming.
I'm not good at
But
solitaire.
yeah. I'm okay at it. I think Spider Solitaire is definitely
Mm,
my favorite of the is it Microsoft
yeah.
Solitaire
Yep.
whatever?
Yep. I got that
They've
going
got
a
like
lot.
yeah, they've got like five or six different
And
games,
there's
and so I do Spider Solitaire mainly,
yeah.
but I've done quite a few.
Yeah, yeah. Free Cell, I think, is in there, and
Yep.
Klondike, and
Yeah.
uh, the one
And
where you match
Tri-Peat
13s.
and yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I kind of went through and just did that because I'm actually quite quick and competent at it. Free cell is the one I struggle the most with,
Mm,
but it was kind of something that I could improve speaking. I've always been self-conscious about talking with people
mm,
and my ability to navigate social situations.
mm.
But
Well, your
I
voice is
figured it'd be,
amazing. I mean, your voice is incredible. So,
oh, thank you.
certainly, it's not for lack of an instrument.
No, merely a lack of confidence.
Well, I mean, that's there too. You have to fight through that, and I mean, even as an artist, when when you put something together, and it's one thing when you make an art piece, but showing it to somebody else is a different story to me, anyway. Um, is it easy for you to share your art like that?
It became it mainly because of the communities that I went in.
Hmm.
Um, and so for me, it was one of those that I wanted to draw and I wanted to get better. Really any skill I wanted to get better at.
Hmm.
Because I feel like people focus on what is believed to be talent.
Hmm.
Um, but talent can only get you so far of anything. You can learn any skill.
Hmm.
It's just that it's where you put your eggs in what baskets,
Right,
right?
right.
Um, I've listened to quite a few of your interviews at this point,
Oh, thank you.
and you talk about how you're not good at drawing. You can't draw anything but a stick figure, and even then it can be a failure. But everybody starts somewhere,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And some people have an innate ability to pick up some skills faster than others.
Hmm.
Some people can sing well with like with very little training
Right.
or what have you.
Yeah.
But if they don't practice that, if they don't foster that,
Hmm.
then you're only going to hit like a certain ability
Right.
threshold.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have to work at it to do it, and
Yeah.
and I joke on myself about it all the time because I did not have a particularly good youth experience with an art teacher, um, and got really thrown off by it back then. Um,
Yeah.
I do try to do a little bit with the thumbnails for some of the interviews, but that's about about my limit. But with
Yeah.
anything, if you don't have the confidence in yourself to do it and the want to improve in it, you're only going to get so far. No matter if you're whatever your gift is.
Much so.
Yeah, and and whether it's somebody with a really good singing voice, and as like you mentioned, or an artist, or a cook, or just someone who comes in and is able to talk, you still have to work on it
Yeah,
in order to
very
refine
much
it.
so.
Yeah, and those folks who can go on there and do things really well right off the bat, I hate you all. Well, I envy you. Which envy is very close to hate.
Yeah.
but
Two
but
sides of the same coin,
that's
right?
right. That's right. A very sharp one that I'm going to throw at them. The it really sounds like this has become the journey that you have is your own, but it's one that you have not that you've taken steadily and slowly, and you have continued to try and move forward. Like you said, the winds have taken you side to side on occasion, but not backwards. You kept going forward with it.
Somewhat, I
Mm.
feel like. I do think that there are times where maybe backwards is not necessarily the direction.
Mm-hmm.
It may feel like backwards, but when tides change, backwards is subjective, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, yeah, um, it also just became one of those. So when I was on my old account, I I did it mainly from July of 23 till about October of 23.
Hmm.
I was expecting my second child, and
Mm,
so it was one of those that I had a hard, like, I cannot by the end of the year because I will have a newborn and I'm not even gonna bother with that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That would be. You talk about your chaotic. That
yeah.
would be more than chaotic at that
And
point.
definitely. And that baby decided to come a full month earlier
Hmm.
than expected. So it definitely was one of those that like there was a big hiatus. And when I came back to it due to various different issues, and my inability to stay in one skin for very long because you see some pre-made models and you go, "Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I would love to do that." Or wouldn't it be nice if what have you?
Yeah.
That the ooh next shiny thing is very tempting many
Ooh, a
times.
piece of candy. Ooh, a
And
piece of candy.
right.
Yeah.
And unsurprisingly, it seems that the Venn diagram of VTubers and neurodivergence is basically a zero or basically a circle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's not so much a Venn diagram as a tracing.
exactly.
But
Um,
it's from it. To me, it seems that that sort of thing tends to try and mask out some very, very creative minds and creative people. Uh, Obviously, you wanted to do that with art earlier on before you took the hiatus. Um, do you think that creativity has been there waiting to be discovered all this time?
I think it's been there in many iterations,
Mm,
but like you experienced with a negative art teacher, I
mm,
feel like a lot of things that happen to us, especially in childhood, often affect us in so many ways, in ways that may seem minuscule to others, but are huge to you, right?
right.
That teacher of yours probably doesn't recall the negative interaction that you had.
Oh no, I
Or
but
if they
very
did,
doubt
it
it.
was something so offhanded that they would never have thought twice about, but it impacted you so much that even now you still recall it.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
You, you
s-
grade schoolers don't usually get Fs on
yeah,
art that they turn in. I was pretty shocked by that.
yeah,
Mm. It
yeah, especially something that even if it wasn't your main focus or passion or drive, is something that you put time into, that you
right.
put yourself into.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, and
so
when it becomes not a grade of what you did, but rather a criticism of what you did, or it's based on I just don't like how this looks. It's Neff. No, that's not. That's to me that's very. And early on, I took that thing that no, I don't. I must not be what anybody wants as far as this goes, and then that'll take it out of you in a hurry.
oh, and it also, especially that young, can be an indication of your self-worth, right? Like,
Mm,
oh, I'm not good at this, so my time and effort that I put into this has no value,
yeah, yeah,
and so you're not
yeah,
apt to pick it up again.
I have struggled with feeling that I was worth doing things um, that I was worth anybody's time for a long time, and still to this day do that. I had my own mental health things going on, not super major, but enough to throw me into therapy more than once, which I certainly recommend for anybody. If you need help, go get it. It's
And even
there.
if you don't,
Yeah, I mean, if you don't get it, it's there. It's there. Get take care of. I also believe in one's circumstances is not defining them, and that the person, whoever emerges from those circumstances, is the triumph that comes from the emergence from the circumstances. Sounds like you are still working on that triumph.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I feel like we always are,
Hmm.
right? Where there's never your final iteration is still never your final iteration.
Yeah.
Um, And so for me, it's been a journey of ups and downs, of triumphs, of failures,
Mm-hmm.
of attempts and relearning of things,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yeah.
And so for me, my household put a lot of emphasis on if you are not, if you have, are you not working or you're not studying, you have very little to no self-worth, right? You have
Mm.
nothing to um, benefit anybody, the greater good, etc.
Right.
Um, and I feel like a lot of times, especially in the West, specifically in America, things like that sentiment is not uncommon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It
And
unfortunately, yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
and so and with the way mental health is viewed, that's highly stigmatized. And so people think, well, if I'm not depressed or if I'm not going through this traumatizing thing, then I don't need therapy. But like therapy can be beneficial to anybody of whatever their background is,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're going through.
Yeah. And
And I think the pandemic really made that evident to a lot of people that like, oh, I may not think I need this, but it can be beneficial.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
And the humans can adapt to so many things. Um, you could be living in a house and find, a big house with 10 rooms, and then find that you're only using three of them, and you don't even know it. But that's the way you're used to it now. Um, you could be 25 years old and be able to walk around just fine. At age 30, you've got a limp, and you didn't even realize it. It's because you just adapted to it and kept going. Um, Doing that with your mental health really limits your life, your quality of life, and your enjoyment of life, I think.
so, and so for me, I kind of pushed myself into the streaming aspect because there had been many times in my life that like I loved to sing when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
and it took one girl's comment of, "Wow, you sing really loud." It wasn't even you sing poorly.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that we were in choir, and it was you sing really loud to
Mm-hmm.
get me to stop singing.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of sinus troubles, um,
Mm-hmm.
so I always thought like my voice was not pleasant to listen to whatsoever. And so it all of my creative avenues ended up oftentimes ended just because of things, n- my aversion to negativity.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was a classically trained pianist for 7+ years,
Whoa.
pushed into recitals and competitions, and
Yeah.
I hated being in front of people like in on the
Yeah.
stage. Stage was not for me. I'm a very anxious person.
Yeah. I understand
Um,
that. Uh,
yeah,
uh,
and social situations made me anxious because I knew I wasn't good at them, so I avoided them.
yeah.
And so it became one of those things where, in one way or another, my creative outlets either ended or paused to be picked up elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the irony is not lost on me that as someone who hated being in front of, like on a stage or in front of a crowd, is streaming to, uh, depending, a lot more people than I ever thought possible
Yeah.
currently.
And
Uh,
the possibility, I mean, the potential audience is massive. Um, Anybody with a cell phone you can
so,
get there. I mean, the potential is so huge, and it does make a difference though in because I did radio for so long. I didn't really see my audience. I knew they were out there, but you put me, I could have a couple thousand people listening after a ball game. But if I was in a room with 10 people, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. It's a big difference there.
much
And
so.
and does that having that avatar, does that make it even easier for you to to let your guard down a little bit and be yourself?
I feel like, perhaps. I wouldn't say it's the thing that helped me feel like me,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I've been on this mental health journey for forever at
Mm-hmm.
this point. So I feel like as I've gotten older, as I've had children, as I've gone through various different experiences that have shaped me to who I am, my confidence in myself has been pretty steady prior to the actual streaming aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so, I guess, my voice that I feel like I found.
Mm.
Um, I've had like you have friends, groups, and people say things like, "Oh, you've got a nice voice," and I go, "You're a liar, but you're my friend, so whatever. I'm not gonna say anything."
Right.
Um, but I had enough people on my past life tell me, "You have a really soothing voice," or
Mm.
"Your voice is really nice," or "You should try ASMR." That I was like, I don't think I believe you, but if enough people are saying it, then perhaps I am the one in the wrong.
Sometimes it's hard to see the true reflection in the mirror, and see what tools you have. If you don't have the best overall opinion of yourself to start with, it's hard to, at least it's hard for me anyway, to accept the fact that you do have gifts and abilities, and to do this. Like you think, oh, I'm not, not all that stuff. But I tell you, that voice of yours is butter smooth. There is not a sharp point to that voice whatsoever. There's a lot of people who would really want that voice.
I appreciate that. I don't know if my child would agree, given how we butt heads. They are at that age of headbutting
Mm,
defiance.
yes.
So I don't know if our the formal parent usage of your full name is as buttery smooth.
Oh no, no, never has. Even my mother now at her wonderful 80s is still when she sets out the middle name comes out, I know I'm in trouble.
That primal, oh no, I
that
have done something wrong.
that blanket that covers you when it happens. Blanket of
Very much
fear.
so.
And what have I done? What have I done? But
The instant, I'm sorry.
yes, sorry, mother. Sorry, mother. Sorry, whatever, whatever I did, I didn't mean to it. Um, or
Hmm.
or in my case, it wasn't me. It was her, pointing at my sister. Um, so, are you satisfied with where you are as far as a streamer goes? Because I don't know. Talking to you about it, that you really had necessarily a goal to come on, other than talk about uh, your mental health issues, and then eventually doing art on it.
Ah, my goal as far as streaming or my goal is in talking with you?
Well, as streaming, as far as streaming is concerned.
Yeah, I think I'm, I'm, I can't say I had, other than I wanted to improve my ability to speak to people,
Mm-hmm.
and possibly build that confidence. That was mainly my own goal. And just, I have this neat thing that I don't use. So obviously that is the whole, I have this really cool model that I don't use. Um, Clearly was the driving factor, but
Yeah.
it was just kind of something that I wanted to give a try, possibly improve as far as speaking before I had another child.
Mm.
And then the fact that it continued on definitely was not something I really anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I started on Minari. I think I created the account in October of last year,
Yeah.
but my potato of a computer could not run VTube Studio, at least not the model that I ultimately ended on,
Yeah.
which is this cute little jellyfish model by Cyblends. It's
Yeah.
a public model that anybody that pays like 30 something bucks can use.
Yeah.
Um, that I, it wasn't until around that time after I got out of a lot of the postpartum depression kind of block
Right.
and just wanted to, on a whim, try this thing that a good friend of mine suggested, which was the ASMR.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I didn't think it would be anything.
Mm.
I didn't ever expect to be where I am right now. I tried my first ASMR stream on, let me see, I have in my notes, December 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And it was me collecting, it was one of those things where I didn't understand ASMR. And the one stream that I had popped in on in someone's, I got that like tingly feeling in the back of my head, like the
Yeah.
actual physiological response, and went, ew, that's gross. I don't like that.
Woo.
But I enjoyed a lot of like the way that things in ASMR. So ASMR is autonomous sensory meridian response.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that tingling sensation that usually will happen like at like your scalp or at the base of your neck.
Right.
Um, but I had seen a lot of ASMR setup like videos, a lot of the like shorts. I think one of my favorite thing was like the in China they would do like this cat would be making drinks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like just these short videos of this cat mixing a drink.
Yeah.
And it's just like the sound of cutting up fruit and the ice clinking in the glass.
Right.
And it was just really calming and I didn't have like a physiological response to it. It was just enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so when multiple people were like, you should give this a try, I was like, well, I don't really like that tingling thing, but
Right.
there are sounds in day to day as a mom that I do enjoy.
Right.
There's something really enjoyable about the sound of wooden blocks. Like my children have like this big box of wooden blocks. And so like listening to putting those away sounds nice.
Hmm.
Um, Surprisingly, the clattering of a bunch of Hot Wheels cars, Matchbox and Hot Wheels cars, when you've got a lot of them, my child has a lot of them,
Whoa.
um, putting toys away starts sounding kind of nice, and my ears were picking up on that. So that's what my journey as an ASMR artist was I took my children's toys and tried this thing out.
Yeah.
And it it ended up being a positive response. I feel like the ASMR community, at least in the VTubing scene that I have interacted with and seen these past 7 months, has been very welcoming, very kind people, a community that I've not experienced pretty much since that Brony community,
Mm-hmm.
where people are just excited that you are doing this thing
Mm-hmm.
and that you're receptive to learning and trying new things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's like welcome in rather than, what are you doing here?
Yeah,
That,
which is a stark contrast from a lot of communities, even just in the VTubing community as a whole, like the broader sense.
mm,
I am an incorrigible gossip and love to watch drama videos. I don't want to be in drama, but I will watch train wrecks,
yeah.
and dumpster fires.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of negativity, be it through that avenue, or if you are on social media, you will see negativity, the goods, the bads.
Mm.
But the ASMR community was so welcoming, so understanding. I have a lot of tech issues. I can barely turn my computer on. Um, and I have big aspirations of what I would like to do, but I have very things will break on me all the time. If
Right.
I will look at it and it will break.
It-
And then my tech savvy partner will come and look at it and it'll be working perfectly fine. And I'm the liar,
that's
right?
right. Now that always happens. They like to say, "But why didn't you just press this button?" I was saving it for you.
Have you tried putting it on and off?
Yes. Did you try plugging it in? Oh.
Oh, wait.
I
A
get
lot
that.
of my
I get that from my
uh
wife every once in a while. She'll,
mhm.
I can't get this to work. Did you try this? And it works fine. And she takes years off my life with the stare afterwards. I'm probably supposed to live to about 250, but I ain't gonna get close now.
The wife glare can be a
Yes, deadly at times.
very.
But the
They don't call them black widows for nothing,
oh,
right?
absolutely, absolutely. Well, I tell her, I'm husband number two. If you mess up two times in a row, that's on your fault.
The common denominator is you, my love.
That's right. But the ASMR community has a lot of different ways to do it, and there's some folks who do, the dual microphones. There's the quote unquote ear cleaning things, which I'm not
Uh-huh.
I'm not I'm not a big fan of myself, but I can understand other people doing it. Some people do scripts,
Uh-huh.
and are have you done that? Have you thought about doing that?
I have not tried it. I feel like I remember when I was younger that I thought, oh, it might be nice to voice act.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing about voice acting is that you have to be able to act.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have that skill. I'm not I'm not opposed to learning it.
Yeah.
But with two children, I do not exactly have the most amount of free time,
Right.
especially now that it's summer break.
Yeah. That's yeah. Said through gritted teeth. Summer break.
Yeah. I think it's a mutual thing. My child loves school,
Yeah. Oh.
although they have recently been like, I love the summer because we don't have school. And it's like, you love school. You'd rather be at school than be like sitting here with me. And they go, yeah, but, and I think because they really like that School's Out for Summer
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Oh, the old
So
Alice Cooper song.
yeah.
School's out for supper.
Well, that would require that they allow me to put on the original as opposed to whatever
Yeah.
more kid relate. I
The
don't know,
Kid Bop
how
version.
they similar. Yeah, I don't even think I guess Kids Bop is still technically a thing, but
Kids Bop number 277 is probably out by now. Um,
probably,
yeah,
but it has changed quite a bit
yeah,
over the years.
yeah. Well, it's to me, it's your story is pretty awesome. Um, where it sounds like, and correct me if I'm way off base, but it sounds like you've had every chance to give up on yourself and you haven't. And
Yeah.
you've suffered through some some mental trauma, and you've instead of letting it take you over, you've forged your way through. Maybe it's a different path, but you still kept going forward. That shows a lot of strength, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's
No, I don't remember exactly where I heard it, but that I think it was actually YouTuber D'Angelo Wallace.
mm,
He's very interesting, um, YouTube commentator.
mm.
But he did say that with every day that you wake up, you have a 100% success rate, that you didn't give up,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Um, and there are times that you want to, and there are times that I may have, like, that possibly you try, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting here with a gentleman who I think has a very interesting um, corner of the market, especially in the VTubing community.
oh well, thank you.
Um, and
It's a lot of
every
fun.
day and I see two usually happy children,
Yeah,
depending. It's
yeah.
been busy last couple weeks, so we've got some cranky children in our household, but
Mm, yes, yes. I
every
skipped
day's a
I skipped over the parenting and went right to the step parent of a teenager. That was that and actually I haven't been told to do something physically impossible to myself, but once since then. So
yeah.
I consider myself pretty lucky as far as that goes.
Like you
It
said, every journey is different.
yeah, every journey is different, and yours is a fascinating one, and I really want to bring you back on and talk more about it. Um,
Appreciate
you've got a lot to share, and you've got and not not your talent and your stick-to-itiveness and your strength and your experiences. And folks need to check out and see what's going on with you. We'll have links in the description. There's a lot of them. Um, Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for keeping going.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, because if you didn't, we wouldn't know uh, about you, and we wouldn't know that of all the wonderful things that you bring to the table.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you for your work that you do. I genuinely have been enjoying listening to your interviews. It's
Oh,
a different take on things, and I think it's quite interesting.
well, thank you. I hope so. I hope folks are enjoying it, and we're going to keep going until the microphone shuts off or my wife figures out the lock on the door. One of the two. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.